Some newer weavers don't know that you can weave with quite fine threads on a rigid heddle loom, and that you should. Weaving with finer threads allows you to make a greater variety of fabrics. Right here I'm using 8/2 bamboo and 8/2 tencel, and I often use 8/2 cotton and cotylene on my rigid heddle loom as well. This allows you to make beautiful things like what I'm making here: kitchen towels, table runners, and all kinds of finer fabrics. I don't think it's hard weaving with finer thread, but there are certainly a few differences, and I'm going to talk about 3 of them today and how you can get around those. The first thing is it can be harder to get a really good tension with a finer thread, especially when you're using plant fibers like bamboo, tencel and cotton that don't tend to have very much stretch at all. This just means that when you open up certain sheds, you may find that some of the threads are a little looser than you would like them to be. This is not generally a problem for your weaving unless they're so loose that your weaving actually bunches up at the weft as you're going. But here is something that's really helpful to keep in mind when you are weaving. So if you're using a stick shuttle, you can also use a boat shuttle if you want to, but it's not as effective as using a boat shuttle with, say, a floor loom that has great tension. You can kind of shoot your boat shuttle across. You can't do that so much with a rigid heddle loom because the tension just isn't going to be as good. Anyway, if you choose to use a stick shuttle like I am here, there are a couple of things that you can do to avoid the problem of snagging. So because of the way the stick shuttle is made, it's actually fairly easy to snag it on one of these finer threads. And once you've done that, pulls on it, then the tension for that particular thread is not going to be the same again. So you want to try and avoid doing that. What I do always is when I enter the shed, I have the shuttle, the side of the shuttle, touching against the reed. And I have it slightly angled up at this end. That's one way that I've found is really good to avoid snagging. Now the reason for entering the shed up here and being so close to the reed is that this is the widest part of the shed. If I try and enter down here, I'm going to get snagged for sure. So I enter up here, I angle slightly up. I've just found that the angle helps me to keep clear of the threads better. Then when I get about halfway across, I lay the shuttle flat, and then if the tension is good enough, I can kind of shoot it across. But certainly entering into the shed in that first part, you need to be careful. So that was a down shed. Now I'll show you the same for an up shed. So I enter in, I'm rubbing against the reed, I'm angling up slightly, I get about halfway, and then I can shoot it across. Okay, my second tip I can show you because I just did that exact same thing that I told you not to do in tip 1, and that is I snagged a thread as I was passing it through the shed. You know, sometimes I think it would be a good idea to rebrand my channel and name it something like Kelly Making Mistakes So You Don't Have To. Anyway, I'll show you how to fix this. You can see how loose this has come, right? And there's no way that I can really retension that from this end, and that's just from one snag. It's actually come that loose just from snagging it once. So this is where an S-hook comes in super handy. I'm always talking about S-hooks, but that's because they're so brilliant. They're a really good weight, they're a really good shape for hanging on things, and for a single or a doubled thread like this, in this case because my threads are doubled here, it's absolutely perfect for weighting the thread when this sort of thing has occurred. So all I have to do to fix this problem is come around the back of the loom. I have to locate the thread that's gone all loosey-goosey. Here you can see how loose it is. I've got that much space, but that makes it perfect for hanging my S-hook on. And once I've done that, I really don't need to worry about it again, because as I advance the warp, it just continues to hang. It keeps the same pressure on the thread the whole time, and it's a very similar tension to what the rest of the threads are under already, so it's a perfect solution. My last tip for you today is in regards to tension. Now, it's fairly inevitable when you're warping on a rigid heddle loom that one shed is going to be looser than another. As I've mentioned before, rigid heddle looms are not perfect for being able to achieve a really great tension, but a lot of the time it's not really a problem unless it's really loose. If it is really loose, there are a couple of things that you can try. So I'm going to go into the down shed. Okay, so you can see that my bottom shed is very well tensioned and my top shed is not so well tensioned. So something that you can try for this in the down position is I insert my pickup stick into the back shed, and this is just to help me show my place and get the right threads to make a little shed. And then I grab a cardboard separator, pop that into the shed created by the pickup stick, and I'm just going to put that towards the back and actually wedge it as much as I can into the back. And this is a good tip to use towards the end of a project too, because the tension usually really eases off right towards the end of a project, and it can be hard to get a good shed. And if you want to keep weaving and get as much out of that warp as possible, this is a good tip to try. Okay, so that was in the down shed, but also you can take that out again. And if you've got a pickup stick that is actually shorter than the width of your loom, you can try wedging that as well, but I just don't have one that's short enough. This one's too long. Okay, so next thing you can try is to go into the neutral position, take the cardboard separator underneath and wedge it in that way. And you can even, if you're really having trouble with your tension, you can even do both of these. So you can wedge a stick in the down shed and wedge a stick in neutral as well. And I'm sure that is going to at least improve your tension a little bit. Now these will fall out as you advance the warp. You need to keep putting them back in each time you advance the warp. Let me know in the comments if this video was helpful to you. I would love to hear from you. And if there's anything specific you want to ask me about weaving with finer threads, or any experiences that you've had that you can share with other people in the comments, please do that. And you may be interested in this project that I'm working on at the moment. This is a brand new class that I'm working on. The class may or may not be released by the time of this video, but I will have the link for you in the description box anyway. This class is going to be a clasped warp catch Camille wrap. Try to say that 10 times quickly. And yes, it teaches the clasped warp technique, and we're going to finish up with a really beautiful traditional Mexican garment. If that class sounds interesting to you, you can have a further look at it by clicking the link that I already mentioned, and also by being subscribed to my email list, and I'll also link to that down below so that you can get notifications of when that class is released. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for all of your support. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and until next time, happy weaving.